This episode is brought to you by Lydia Rachel Photography. Welcome back to the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. My name is Lydia. I'm a wedding photographer at Lydia Rachel Photography and your host. On today's episode, I'm chatting with the lovely Michele. She turned the big wedding script on its head and planned a relaxed, intimate celebration that truly felt like them. After a surprise proposal glamping at Falls Retreat, Michele and her husband landed on their easy-to-remember date, 2424, and chose Wild Canvas for a micro wedding with just their mums and two close couples. The all-in package kept planning simple and calm, from the celebrant flowers and the cake to massages, bubbles, and a chef-cooked dinner. We chat all about her relaxed day, dress shopping at Madison Rose Bridal, setting their priorities, keeping the guest list tiny, while they still kept their budget really low while investing in the most important things to them like hair and makeup, food, and photography. Michele also shares the sweetest on-the-day surprise that they saved for their mums, the uncanny vintage plane flyover, why she didn't get post-wedding blues, and heading straight into a European honeymoon. We hear practical advice on spending where it matters, using word of mouth, and doing your day your way. Plus, we chat about Michele's business, The Perfect Match, making weddings more affordable and sustainable with accessories and truly biodegradable, water-soluble confetti. I'd love to hear what you think about this episode. Leave a rating and review and pop over to Instagram to see some photos from Michele's day also. Enjoy episode 121 with Michele. Hi, Michele. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. Excited to hear all about your wedding.
Yes, thanks for having me, Lydia. It's been pretty exciting to be able to share my story.
So to start with, if you could just tell us a bit about you and your partner, how you guys met and your life together.
So we met about, crikey, it'll be like over 15 years ago. Funnily enough, my now husband, he's in the emergency services, and they were on strike at the time, and I was working at a local cafe, and he happened to come in with his crew, and didn't really talk too much to each other at that time. I actually spoke to his boss probably a bit more, and I ended up actually connecting with his boss, funnily enough, just as friends outside of that, and then met him a few months later. And it kind of just blossomed, I guess you could say, from there. We had a really strong friendship from the beginning, and then we just couldn't really part ways after that. So we spent the last, I guess, when did he propose, was about 3 years ago. So we spent a good chunk of time getting to know each other, and got a dog and the house and all that kind of stuff first. So we went a little bit backwards, but ended up in a really good spot now.
Oh, so cool. So ticked off a few of those milestones. Were together quite a while, and then you got engaged. Can you tell us a bit about the proposal story?
Yeah, so very much a surprise. It was for my 30th birthday. He'd actually bought, I think it's for my Christmas before, my birthday's in February. So the Christmas before, he had bought a voucher for us to go to a glamping site called Falls Retreat in Karangahaki Gorge. So I was like, let's just go for my birthday. That'll be such a cool thing. And little did I know, we turned up there. It's such a beautiful place to go, and I've obviously never been there before. So we'd also organised a dinner and a little kind of garden tour and things like that. So we did our garden tour, went back to the room, and he's like, I've just got to write. I've got to write something. And I was like, what do you mean you've got to write something? And in the room that we had, there was like a mezzanine kind of floor where the bed was. So he had to get the ladder and climb up the top, and he's writing in this card. I'm like, we're about to go to dinner. Like, can it wait, or can we do it later? But anyway, he's like, oh no, I've got to do it now. I was like, okay. So I'm sitting down the bottom, just kind of twiddling my fingers, and he's peeking over the edge, looking at me. I'm like, well, what the heck's going on? I had absolutely no idea. And then he comes down with this card, and he's like, oh, it's just your birthday card. And I was like, oh, okay. So I I opened it, and he's always been really sweet at writing birthday cards. Like, he writes the most meaningful things, and or Christmas cards or anything. And I'm reading it, and then it says, your gift's under here. And I lift up this like little makeshift flap he'd made with a post-it note, and it's like, will you marry me? And then he was down on one knee, and I just was I was just gobsmacked. I couldn't even function. I was just sitting there staring at him, and I literally just said, "Are you serious? Like, are you serious? Is this?" He's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "So will you?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, of course." Like, but so it was just the most amazing thing, perfect timing, completely got me like off any scent or any inkling of it ever happening, and it was timed perfectly with going to dinner. Which was beautiful, and the whole time I was just shaking. I just couldn't believe it. So it was very exciting.
Oh, so sweet. I love that. Such a special spot as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that he got the surprise factor as well.
Yeah,
Funny
very
that you
much so.
didn't suspect. So good. Had you been one of those girls that dreamed about your wedding? Did you have a vision in mind of what you wanted? What were those kind of first steps? Finding a venue, all of that?
To be honest, not at all. I was always kind of one, like, especially when we'd committed to so many big things already, it was kind of like, for me, to be able to share his surname and be a family and things like that was, like, I guess, in the back of my mind, but it was never like a make or break for me. Yeah, that's why it probably took me so off guard. I wasn't expecting that at all. And so I never really had big plans for a wedding or anything like that. I think what actually got me the most is like being center of attention in front of a bunch of people is probably what gave me the most anxiety. So when it came to planning our wedding, it we kind of just let it sit as being engaged for a wee while, and then we thought, okay, cool, we'll start planning. And I thought, well, let's start with a date first, and we kind of went from there. So the date, I don't know, I've got a thing with numbers, so I thought we kind of tossed a few different numbers back and forth, and then I was like, 020424 would be really cool. Like 2424. It's one, super easy to remember. So when it comes to anniversaries, hopefully you won't forget. And yeah, I was just like 2424. Like, let's start there. So that was our starting point. And then it came to planning the wedding and what we wanted to do. And I've got a really big family. So I've got 6 siblings, and my husband doesn't. So he's got like one brother, and unfortunately his dad passed away a few years ago. So it was just his brother and his mum, really. And I've got, my 6 siblings and my mum. So it was, as soon as you just had the siblings and partners and family, you're at like 20 people.
Mm.
And then add on our really close friends and things like that. We were already at 50, then add the extended family, and we're getting close to, 80 to, 100 quite quickly. And so we kind of looked at venues, and we just really didn't want to blow the budget out. We're quite big travelers, like, we love to travel. So it was more important for us to have more budget to have like an amazing honeymoon than to have a like massive wedding. And we spoke to a few people, and we came down to the idea of eloping. We thought, I said to my husband, would you be against the idea of eloping? Like, I could literally run off to Vegas next week and I'd be happy. And he's like, oh no, I can't do Vegas. And I was like, oh. He's like, no, I could be open to eloping. And we'd been to Queenstown quite a few times. So we love that space and the mountains and the landscape and things like that. So we tossed up the idea of doing like the old helicopter into the mountains, getting married, just taking our mums with us, and having a beautiful wedding like that. But as soon as we started kind of adding it all up, all of a sudden we were back at the cost of a big wedding, and that kind of didn't make any sense to us. We would have then go, well, we should just have all the family and friends there if we're going to that kind of value. So we circled back around and kind of went back to the roots of our engagement. And I was like, it'd be really cool if there was like a glamping site that we could get married there and, have a smaller wedding. And we tossed up the idea of going back to Falls Retreat, but we thought we'd try something different. And we found, like, I'd seen Wild Canvas for years. It used to be called Waitomo Glamping. And at that point, they would only have one tent on one of the hills, but I'd seen on their social media that they were building a bigger tent, and it was like a 4-bedroom one. And even when they had the smaller tent, they did elopements. So I kind of waited and saw that they did the big big tent, and then someone got married there, and I was like, what about this? Like, this looks amazing. Never been there before in our lives. Saw they did an elopement package, and we kind of went from there. Picked that venue, went with the package, which included things like celebrant, your cake, flowers, the accommodation. We added on an extra night. They gave you a bottle of bubbles and all these little cool little treats, massages. It was just, yeah, the whole shebang. It was amazing. Absolutely loved every minute of it.
So cool. So amazing just to have a kind of inclusive package and all those things sort of sorted for you already. Just that like one-stop shop almost. Love that. You've mentioned a few things in there, but what was the most like important elements of the day for you, your top priorities?
My top priority was just to have a really chill day. I didn't want to go into it stressed. I didn't want to have like absolute rushing around and just worried about details. And it clearly showed, because 5 minutes before, like, our celebrant turned up and she's like, you're getting married in 5 minutes. I was like, yep. And she's like, you're not in your dress. And I was like, no, I'll go put it on now. And I put the dress on like 5 minutes before I was, walking out. And I was so chill, I completely forgot my flowers. So, and nobody noticed until
Yeah.
we went to have our first photos, and I went, oh, my flowers, I've left them inside. So I kind of achieved that. And it wasn't, like not having little details or missing little details was not the end of the world.
Yeah, I love that. So good. What was the process like finding your dress? Did you go shopping, go to a few different places? Yeah, can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So again, very simple. One of my girlfriends organized going to do a dress try on, because she'd been married a few years before, and I just wasn't my realm of knowing even where to start and what to like look at or anything like that. So we ended up going to Madison Rose Bridal, and that was just our first stop. She's like, let's just try this first. We went in there. I had my mum and two girlfriends with me, tried on a bunch of dresses, and the lady was amazing. She just kind of went through like this or that, and like, which one do you like best out of this or that? And we got narrowed down to probably like last four. I think I got through something like 20 dresses, and she was even amazed. She's like, you're just getting these on and quickly in and out. So I was like, yeah, I'm not here to muck around. Like, I just want to, I know when I know, like as soon as I was putting them on, I was like, no, like I like this, but I don't like that. So that's no, move on to the next one. I didn't want to muck around. So that was good, because it meant I could try on so many different things. And yeah, we got down to kind of the last four, and there was just one I just fell in love with. It was mainly like the top half was patterned and it had a low V cut, but then the back had just these buttons just all along the bum and right down the train. And I just fell in love with that aspect of it. It was a very fitted dress. Yeah, I just loved it. It was simple, but enough detail at the same time. So once we got that, she was like, oh, you're going to say yes to the dress? And I was like, yeah, done. And so that was it. One dress shop and done. And don't regret it at all. I think if I'd probably gone to more, I probably would have got quite overwhelmed, because it's so easy to. There's so many beautiful dresses.
So good. Love that. You sound like very decisive, know what you want. So just like whip through all the dresses, and yeah, so good that you landed on the one. It's beautiful. Did you have a bridal party? And if not, what was that process like making that decision?
Not really. Like, in terms of our whole wedding party, we had both of our mums, and we had two sets of friends. So they're both like two couples, and like both the couples are our friends. So it was a hard decision, because we would have had a couple of extra friends there as well. And obviously leaving family out was controversial in a sense, but they also understood. I kind of made sure, like I told a couple of my extra girlfriends that I would have loved to have been there as well if we had the space that allowed. Before we were getting married, I told them what we were doing. And, fortunately, there's such amazing friends. They were so supportive and didn't care that they weren't there. But they were also involved in like we had like a bit of a bridal shower type weekend. So I made sure that they were involved in that. And so did my husband. Like, he had a kind of groom's weekend, I guess you could say, or groom's day with a couple of the guys as well. And so we had people involved, just obviously when it came down to the day, it was just very limited. Yeah, it was just fortunate that because we're friends with both of the couples that were there, they ended up being the girls that just, essentially both maids of honor for me and sorting out my last little bits and pieces. One of the girls was actually our photographer. So Courtney Horwood Photography, she amazing wedding photography. And I said to her, look, you don't have to be our photographer. I'm happy to, get someone else. But I was like, I love your photos. And she's like, no, I'll be more than happy to. So we just had the best time really with our small group.
She's lovely. Courtney, I know her as well. So that was my next question. You kind of answered about the guest list. So it was about 6 people all up and you guys.
Yeah.
So good. And no regrets on that. You recommend a smaller wedding?
To be honest, absolutely. At the end of the day, everyone that was important to us that didn't come was still over the moon for us. They didn't feel left out, and it was our day. It was kind of our big intention was that it was our day to enjoy, and we're the ones that are going to be celebrating the anniversary every year, and people will probably forget that came. And it's special to us, and it did everything for us. And yeah, we no regrets at all.
So good. Can you tell us a bit more about the day, maybe that kind of week leading up to it as well, and any highlights or favorite moments?
The week leading up was very chill. I was not nervous at all. We actually had planned, when we planned the wedding, we then planned a honeymoon. So 2 days later, we were flying out to Europe. So it was just a full week of excitement, really, coupled with the fact that in the January, I'd found out that I was pregnant. And we hadn't told our mums because we wanted to make this big thing that we were going to surprise them on the day. So our wedding invites, when we sent them out to our friends, or when we invited our friends, we made them these top secret undercover packs. So essentially just to say, hey, you're invited, but we're not telling anyone. And we told everyone after the fact, after we were married. So we made these top secret packs. We gave them little code names on their glasses and little FBI kind of badges and magnifying glasses, all that kind of stuff. We went all out. So we tied that into on the day, sharing with our mums that I was pregnant. Leading into it, we kind of did a big adventure, picking up our mums on the way and heading through to Waitomo. And on arrival, we had our massages booked. And when you go into the tent, it's covered ceilings over the bathrooms, but it's just an open tent over everything else. So we went into the room with the girl who was amazing, who was doing our massage, and I said to her, look, I am 12 weeks, or I was at the time 14 weeks pregnant. She's like, oh my gosh, congratulations. I was like, shh, our mums don't know. She's like, oh my gosh. And so she kept it really quiet and did my massage for me, and then did hubby's massage. And then so we had that night before with just our mums, and just had we brought food up and had a really nice easy dinner. And then the next day our friends turned up and had their hair and makeup turn up, and she was just incredible. I had my makeup artist did both my hair and makeup, the mum's makeup as well. And then we kind of just hung out, didn't really do much, had lunch, didn't have our ceremony till 4:00. So it was just a really chill. We'd also hired the other tent as well. So we sent the boys over there to get ready and kind of have their afternoon before we put it all together. And they came back about 3:30. I was not in my dress at that point. Again, very, very chill. Celebrant turned up just before 4. I got into my dress, last minute details, and then my mum walked me out. And at Wild Canvas, they've just got these beautiful areas where you could have it just straight onto the grass, or they've got these kind of little separate areas where they've got a little fire pit and a spa pool, and then another little area with a kind of low table and a pizza oven. So we kind of went there, and the views are just incredible. It's just a 360 everywhere you look, at the top of a hill over the valley. Absolute picturesque blue sky day. Barely any wind, which was incredible because it's very windy spot. So we were quite lucky on that sense. And we just got married, and it was had our own vows. It probably took 20 minutes all up. And then right at the end of kind of celebrating, telling our mums that I was pregnant, there was like a flyover, like a vintage airplane flyover. So I had these kind of 5 planes that I think they were flying back from the Warbirds over Wanaka. And it was just really cool because it was like a homage back to my husband's grandfather, and he used to fly vintage airplanes in the war. So that was just kind of just a nice touch, like it was almost planned, but not at all. So it was perfect.
Quick pause to share a little about what I do, because as most of you know, alongside hosting this podcast, I'm also a wedding photographer at Lydia Rachel Photography. I'm all about weddings that feel intentional, effortless, and full of emotion, creating images that are beautiful, honest, and take you right back to how it all felt. I'm there to photograph everything with care, the energy, the emotion, the beauty of it all in a way that feels true to you. My couples often tell me they feel completely looked after from our first chat through to the final gallery. If that sounds like how you want to feel on your wedding day, I'd love to chat. And right now, if you book before the end of summer 2026 and mention the podcast when you inquire, you'll receive an extra hour of photography coverage complimentary with whatever collection you choose. You can see more of my work at lydiarachel.com or email me directly, lydia@lydiarachel.com, to chat pricing and availability. Thanks for letting me share a little more about my work. Now back to the episode. So special. And yeah, did you have like a reception as such? Did you just do like dinner together? What happened after that?
Yeah, so we had actually brought up a bunch of food to do, like a little platter in the meantime, and then we'd also, as part of the package, they had a chef come up and cook dinner.
Amazing.
And like we added onto the package for obviously everyone else that attended. So they had this catering team that came up, and where the boys went to go and put the like platter together for us just while we were hanging out after we'd been married and waiting between that and dinner time. And the caterer's like, no, we'll do this for you. And they put together this, just like within 5 minutes, put together this incredible platter board for us and brought it out. And we were just like, oh my gosh, we would never do that in 5 minutes. It would just look atrocious. But so they did that for us, and then obviously cooked us dinner, which was insane. It was just like at the tent that we were staying at. So I think it's the Pahutakawa tent, has a full kitchen. So it's a 4-bedroom tent with a full kitchen and 2 bathrooms. So it's like glamping to another level. It's seriously, yeah, very newly fit out. And so they had the full kitchen to just do us a big meal and dessert, and we were all absolutely chocolate by the end of it.
Sounds like such a dreamy day, and definitely one of the most like chilled out wedding days I've ever heard about, which yeah, so good. Just like keeping it really intimate, your close people. And yeah, I love that. I think yeah, it can be so stressful for so many people, but it doesn't have to be. So it's so cool to hear about like a different way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What did you find the hardest part about the whole wedding planning process? I feel like you're going to say it was very chilled and relaxed, but is there anything you look back on and regret or would have done a little bit differently?
But honestly, like I say, yeah, it was very chill, and especially because it was very much a package, and Wild Canvas just allowed us to be able to adapt it and add to it as we needed to, obviously with our guests and things like that. So it was just insanely stress-free. Yeah, we didn't have to really worry about much at all. And the only other thing I would have done was added on another night. I think like going the night before was great, having the night there, but then to have to then pack up and go home, I think if we could have just added another night on to have with our friends there, would have been icing on the cake. But obviously we just hadn't planned that timing wise, with then having to fly out the day after that.
Yeah, so great just having a package, everything kind of sorted for you. You've got your vendors that you trust. And then, yeah, I think just the smaller guest list brings less stress, definitely, and not like a big bridal party to look after and organize as well. But yeah, so cool to hear. Did you guys have a set wedding budget, if you're happy to talk about that? And yeah, how did you find that whole side of things?
We didn't have a set budget as such. My girlfriend had given me her budget from her wedding a few years earlier, just as like a kind of an indication of what like costings were, and she had quite a big wedding. We didn't, have a budget as such that we wanted to stick to. We just didn't want to go overboard, if that makes sense. So we just didn't want to spend for the sake of spending, because at the end of the day it's one day, and like for some obviously it's one day that they want to have memories for the rest of their lives, and I completely appreciate that. For us, we also wanted to have that time where we could travel and spend as much, more money on travel and having those memories as well to tie into our wedding day. So for us, I think the package, if you kind of exclude our dresses and rings and things like that, it's under 10 grand. And that was so achievable. We had amazing catering and food and day, and all the people involved in making the day came together were so good. And you could pick, like in terms of like hair and makeup, I could spend a little bit extra picking someone that I made sure did exactly how I wanted my hair and makeup to be. And it was just, we just didn't want to go overboard for the sake of going overboard. And just in this instance for us.
I love that. So good. I often get asked about people with those kind of like smaller budget weddings, and you obviously have to make some sacrifices to achieve that, like a smaller guest list or whatever, but it can be still a really special day. So yeah, cool for people to hear that. And yeah, you invested a bit more into the honeymoon. Can you tell us what was planning that? What did that look like? And yeah, where did you go? Were you off for a month or so to Europe?
Yeah, so we had actually planned the trip on a cruise COVID times, and so obviously that got cancelled. And then when we picked a date for a wedding, then we're like, oh, we also obviously want to go traveling again. We want to go back on our Euro trip, and we just tied the two together, which worked out really well. And it was, so we flew out. So I had got married on the Tuesday, and we flew out on the Thursday and headed over. Started in Barcelona, and we went on a cruise from Barcelona through to Venice. So we went the Mediterranean, went around Italy, touched into a little bit of France on the way to Italy, a little bit of Greece, Croatia, and finished up in Venice, and then went back to Rome and back via Dubai. So it was about 3 weeks that we were away. And obviously the only downside was being pregnant in Italy with the soft cheeses and the Aperol spritzers and all those things that I couldn't have. But
you have to
I
go
still
back
tried
there.
to make the most of it. 100%. That was like, okay, oh well, we'll just have to come back.
Yeah. Oh, so dreamy. I love that. Europe trip's always amazing. That's such a cool way to do it with the cruise and stop off at lots of different places too. Did you have any kind of helpful resources that you used in your planning process? I mean, I guess it was a bit more simple, just choosing the package and not having to do loads of vendor research or anything. But yeah, anything that you use for inspiration or stuff like that?
So obviously before we picked Wild Canvas, I was still doing a little bit of research with other venues, and just really speaking to friends that have been married, and what they did and didn't do, or did and didn't like from their days was probably a huge resource. Like obviously your friends go through it, and whether they like one friend used a wedding planner, which she couldn't rave more about, and we had an absolutely amazing time at her wedding. Another friend, she was like just before COVID, so it ended up being a little bit stressful for her, but you just, even seeing on the day, you just see what kind of details do and don't matter, like table numbers and centering things, like, and paying too much for that, and I made them all for her, or and helping her to, cut back on costs for things that, like, it's nice to have there and people take notice of, but you really don't need to go overboard, and make sure that you just have your good photographers and great hair and makeup and good videographer if you're going to have a videographer. Like, invest in the things that are really going to give you the memories that you want from the day. Great food, catering, obviously people remember food. focus on your core things was important for me as well. So even when we picked wild canvas, it was important that we had a really nice meal, and it was important that we, had kind of the photographer was amazing, because those are memories that we're going to keep forever and look back on. And there's nothing worse than having this one day and your photographer's not amazing. So really researching the style of photos that you like as well, because every photographer is different, and it's not saying that their work's saying, you just want to make sure it aligns with how you like your photos to look.
Yeah.
Just really talking with friends was amazing, because talking with vendors is good and they have a lot of information, but sometimes that can be quite overwhelming, and your friends know who you are and what you like. So they can really help narrow some of those things down for you.
So good. It's hard to beat that word of mouth experience, and best thing to get if you have friends that are already married. Some amazing advice there. Do you have any other advice that you would say to a couple planning their wedding at the moment?
Just make sure you enjoy the day, like that you enjoy just every moment of the day, the processes that you're going through, the people that you're surrounded by, and just enjoy the day. Don't get me wrong, you might have little hiccups along the way, but like me, completely forgetting my beautiful flowers. But at the end of the day, we brought them into the photos and I still had photos with them. It's just really enjoying the day, because it is one of those things that you can't, unless you want to redo your marriage again down the track or anything like that, but you've got, that'll be a time of planning, but you just want to make sure that you're soaking in those moments and those people that are around you, because it is a special day. And you just really just want to enjoy it. You spend all that time planning and all the money putting together, like it's nothing worse than feeling stressed about it.
Oh, such good advice. Yeah, I love that. And what is married life like now? I guess you kind of returned from your honeymoon and then pretty quickly heading into that next exciting season, having a baby. But do you feel like you got any of the post-wedding blues?
Not at all. And I
Maybe
honestly
post-holiday?
yeah, definitely post-holiday blues, but not any post-wedding blues. Like, it was funny, I actually had post-engagement blues. So when I got engaged, I kind of, after the fact, thought, is this what he really wants? Did he just do it because he felt like that's what I wanted? I had all those feelings, and luckily my girlfriends got me through it. And they're like, no, we had these feelings too, but it's completely normal. And it's like, they wouldn't ask you, like, they didn't want to. And I was like, okay, cool. So when it came to the wedding, and because we just both had such a beautiful time, we then went straight, obviously, because we also didn't tell anyone we were getting married. We literally were at the airport and we put up a photo to say that we got married, and then phones were on airplane mode and off we went. So it was just like this. You didn't have it. We had obviously an influx when we turned our phones back on, and people going, oh my gosh, congratulations, rah, rah, rah. But we could just leave the country and we didn't get bombarded by another wave of kind of like, congratulations, oh my gosh, you didn't tell us, oh my gosh, we never got invited, oh my gosh, when did you plan this, da 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 da. You just didn't get it. And I think that just helped so much, funnily enough. And just being overseas, being over to like just enjoy each other's company when we were such in the honeymoon phase again, really. And then having that 3 weeks to ourselves and then coming back to reality was just a game changer. We both felt like we've settled into the fact that we're married, and we could come back and we could catch up with people and we could explain to them what happened. And because 3 weeks had also passed, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you didn't invite me. People would kind of calm down by that fact. That was kind of negated any post-wedding blues. And then by that point, I was coming into 20 weeks being pregnant and getting used to that new change. So it was perfectly timed. I don't know how we did it, to be honest.
So good. I love that. Just being able to go away and stay in that kind of love bubble, have that time to yourselves. Yeah, really cool as well. I hear a lot of mixed opinions about going away on your honeymoon straight away or just like waiting for whatever 6 months down the track. Yeah, it is quite nice, I think, when you can sort of stay on that wedding high for a while and have that time straight after.
Yeah, for sure. It gives you just time to really also look back on the day and digest it and think about it. Like I know a lot of people kind of get married on a weekend and they're back to work on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like it happened, but it was like, okay, now we're back to normal life. Whereas, yeah, it just really gave us a chance to just digest it all, really.
So good. It would be such a smack back to reality doing that, just straight back to work. So, yeah, so
Yeah.
good. Amazing. It's been so cool to hear about your day. And I wanted to quickly ask you about your business as well. Perfect Match, or is it The Perfect Match? Or
Yeah, the perfect match.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about that? What kind of sparked the idea and yeah, what it is really?
It really came down to when I was planning the wedding and obviously looking at costs of things, and you quite quickly see how expensive weddings can be, and things, things like veils and just accessories can be so expensive. And I think for some people that's a crucial part, and but for others, like I really saw that there's a gap to make weddings more affordable and be able to like hold budgets to invest, like I said earlier, to invest in things like photographers, videographers, hair and makeup like that are really important, or your dress, and save on other things. So to really free up people's budgets. So I kind of just saw a little gap and found like simple things such as accessories, you could really get them for more cost effective prices. And then if you want to, sell them to someone else. Like there's a huge market of secondhand bridal accessories out there as well. And to be honest, when you think about it, people are just wearing them for one day. So yeah, that's kind of where the perfect match came from. Also, things like sustainability is like thinks quite massive in terms of either on selling accessories or reutilizing them in another way. So if you did get earrings, they don't just have to be for one day; they can be for another event as well. And yeah, so we also have biodegradable confetti, which I know is available out there overseas, but it was quite expensive when I was looking at getting it.
So
So
that's quite hard to find in New Zealand.
yeah, and it's also like educating a lot of people around biodegradable confetti, because I know a lot of the venues are really hesitant to use it. They prefer petals and things like that. But I think there's different levels of biodegradable confetti, and like what people kind of plaster biodegradable confetti is, but ours is literally water soluble. So once water hits it, it starts dissolving. So it's not recommended for rainy days, but it is super easy to clean up. You literally just hose off your grounds, and it just makes for really pretty photos. And yeah, I just love the stuff. So it's by far our most popular item that we have available. But yeah, we also have the accessories and things like that. And it's really just about trying to make it affordable for people.
Yeah, oh, so cool. Such a great offering. We'll definitely share links to that so everyone can check it out. Yeah, the confetti is a big thing as well. I know a lot of venues are very strict on that or just don't allow it. And yeah, definitely get the biodegradable. You don't want to be having to pick it up after or, yeah, just been terrible to the environment, really. So
That's the stress you don't need.
yeah, exactly. Amazing. It's been so lovely to chat. Is there anything else that we missed or you want to add as we wrap up?
No, I think that's everything. The only thing I did miss is that we actually stayed at the other tent. So because the number of guests that we had on the night of our wedding, we'd also hired the other tent that the boys got ready at, and we ended up going back there at the end of the night. And the one big benefit of being pregnant was they give you a little Suzuki Jimny to be able to use. And because I couldn't drink, I drove the Jimny from one, like the big main tent where we got married, to the other tent. And it is a bit of a like, it's not a big drive. It's just down the hill and across the road and up the next hill, but it's definitely not a walk for sure. So we stayed at the other tent, which was really nice because in the morning when we woke up, we drove back across to the big tent and had a really nice breakfast with everyone again. So yeah, that was probably the only thing I missed in there.
So nice to do that. And then, yeah, still have that like just married night, just the two of you and your bonus sober driver there too. So good.
Yeah. Yeah, hubby was happy.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I think people are going to learn a lot from this episode and that weddings come in all different shapes and sizes, and yeah, just because it's like smaller or you spend less doesn't mean it's any less special. It's sometimes even more, in my opinion. But yeah, so cool for people to hear. So yeah, thanks so much.
No worries. Thanks so much for having me. It's been awesome to chat.